I don't even know what to say for an intro to this video except for this is America. So yeah, this is probably going to be one of the hardest reviews I've ever had to do. Not for the reason that you think, but mostly because, as I've mentioned plenty of times before, I have my own apartment. This is my safe haven. Welcome to my safe haven, by the way. But my mother and brother live directly above me, and it is currently 5:03 in the morning. And you guys know when I do reviews, I get pretty excited. I love talking about movies and video games and everything like that with you guys. And usually when I get excited, I get pretty loud. But because it's 5 o'clock in the morning, I cannot get that loud because these walls are not that thick. So they will definitely hear me. They will definitely wake up and come down these steps and curse me the fuck out. So because of that, I have to try to tamper down my excitement level. Or at least my tone, my volume. So yeah, this is gonna be tough. I mean, even at the level I'm speaking now, I'm talking at like a normal level for me at least, maybe. And I'm like, they probably can still hear me, but at least I'm not screaming like I normally do. But also with that, quick update for those of you that have seen my last Falcon and Winter Soldier review. I did mention the fact that my mother was sick in the hospital with COVID, and I really appreciate all of you guys sending me well wishes and thoughts and prayers and things like that for my mother. Well, good news is she is now out the hospital. She came home yesterday. I picked her up. She's not 100%, but she's good enough to obviously get out the hospital. So that's good. So I appreciate all you guys like in Dragon Ball Z lending me your energy so we can create this spirit bomb of healing. Which I also took the Moderna vaccine the other day. It's been over 24 hours and I haven't sprouted horns yet. Spoke too soon. But if you could not tell from the title of this episode, I will be going full into spoilers of Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 4, The World is Watching. So if you have not seen episode 4 of the Falcon and Winter Soldier, go and watch that episode because it was great and then come back here. Also, if you are watching this review on Friday, April 9th and you are free tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just like I've done every single Friday, I will be going live with my co-host, Ron from You Don't Read Comics, to go fully into this episode. So for this particular review right here, I'm not going to talk about beat by beat moments, just things that called out to me and things that I really want to talk about. But Ron and I will be jumping in it tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're around, hope to see you tonight. But also with that, if you could really please hit that thumbs up button for this video to really help with the channel and the algorithm and getting my video on my channel out there for the rest of the YouTube world. But anyway, Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 4, The World is Watching. I'm like really conflicted. I don't want to say I'm conflicted. I'm not that conflicted, but I will say like overall, I really enjoyed this episode. And while I still think I liked episode 2 as my favorite, this episode is not that far. And I probably have to marinate on it a little bit more. It may end up overtaking episode 2 just by a hair, but I have to marinate on it. But as much as I enjoyed this episode, there's something that just really irks me the wrong way regarding this episode, and hopefully it's rectified and fixed in the next episode and it's not what I think it is. But yeah, this is like the one thing from this episode that just makes me go like, come on, Marvel, you had me, but then you had to fuck it up. And so because of that, let's get this moment out the way, because this is really my one major problem with this episode. Like I said, even though it was one problem, it was a major fucking problem. I'm just like, I just want to get so much louder because me talking at this level, even though because I have it attached to a microphone, so I'm coming across loud and clear, I just feel so inauthentic because I just want to scream. But yes, let's get this out the way. So the moment, again, spoilers, but the moment at the very end where the Flag Smashers, specifically Karli, are fighting and trying to kill John Walker's Captain America, and so John Walker's best friend Lamar, aka Battle Coon, intervenes and tries to save John, and then Karli punches him as hard as she can into that wall, and because he's not a super soldier, she ends up killing him, or it seems as if she killed him. him, and the death of Lamar, the death of Battle-kun, that is the motivation to really push John Walker forward into becoming, I guess, one of the main villains of this story, which causes him to snap at the very end and end up killing one of the other Flag Smashers. I have a problem with that because it's a trope. It's a tired ass trope that TV and movies just, and even comic books, which if you've seen my video yesterday talking about the whole bury your gays trope, I briefly went into that, which was a compilation that I took from my TikTok videos. If you're not following me on TikTok, you got TikTok, follow me on TikTok, BlackGayComicGeek. But yeah, like, it's mostly associated with women with regards to what's called fridging, and it basically feels like that because you're taking this character, because in the comics, Battlestar, Battle-kun, he's not dead in the comics, and then not only just that, but in the comics, he literally has the same exact powers as John Walker. Like, John Walker and Battlestar, they're basically equals in terms of their abilities. But in this MCU version, you gave John Walker powers, but you didn't give his partner powers. So it already creates this dynamic of the white guy being the special one and the black guy just being the sidekick, more or less. And then again, as I mentioned, he's not dead in the comics. He's still very much alive. So then you put his character in the MCU and you're only using him to propel the white guy forward. Like, trash. And I'm just like, considering the way they crafted John Walker's character, there are so many other ways to get to the same conclusion that we had at the end, because when it came to what they did at the end, I fucking loved how they did it. But just like Sam Wilson said in this very episode, I agree with the cause, but I just don't like how you're doing it, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And I'm just trying to hold out faith because this show is ran by a black man, Malcolm Spellman, so I'm just really hoping once we get to episode 5, it's gonna turn out that he's actually not dead. It's just John Walker thought he was dead. Because if he's actually dead, yeah, I'm really gonna have a problem with it. I have a problem with it now. But yeah, that was my biggest problem with this episode. But yeah, in terms of, since I'm already there, in terms of the ending and seeing John Walker completely snap like that, and then seeing the blood on the Captain America shield and what that represents and what that shield's supposed to mean for the MCU in general, I was just like, hey, I was like, this is a beautiful shot. And again, just like I said in my intro, I was like, this is America. Because even just think about the American flag and how you have children being forced. I don't know if they still do it now in elementary schools, but I remember when I was growing up in school, you had to stand up every single day, put your right arm over your heart, and say the Pledge of Allegiance all the time. And it's like, talking about indoctrinating kids, we were all indoctrinated in terms of like the greatness of America and the idealism of America. We are the shining city on a hill. We're the greatest country in the world. Other countries don't have the level of freedom that America has. And it's like, when you really study this country and the founding of this country and everything that's going on in this country now, and the world and the wars that we start and the dictator regimes that our CIA government is responsible for implementing. They even kind of talk about it in this very show, how the CIA was responsible for experimenting on Isaiah Bradley. So it's like, when you really think about all the shit that America has done, like that America and that flag, it has a lot of blood on it. But just like the GRC, the Global Repatriation Council, America is great at propaganda. And so everybody wants to come here what they think this country is. But it's like, once you realize what it actually is, it's like, no, we're not as free as, say, Norway or Denmark or Spain or Sweden or Switzerland, etc. We don't even have universal health care. And so, yeah, I thought that was a brilliant shot at the very end of this episode. And then also, like, kudos, and like, I have to give a round of applause to Wyatt Russell in this episode. Like, I feel like he killed it literally in this episode. Like, hashtag not my Captain America for John Walker, but for Wyatt Russell, he was fucking fantastic in terms of his acting. And granted, I think all of them did a really strong acting performance in this episode. For Sam, Bucky, and again, talking about Wyatt Russell, like, he was great. But now that I got my biggest problem with this episode out the way, I gotta talk about my favorite part of this episode. Like, seeing Ayo and the rest of the Dora Milaje show up and kick ass. Like, I loved every single moment of that. And seeing that just continues to reinforce reinforced my desire to want to see a Dora Milaje type of movie or television series. Yes, I get that we're gonna have a Wakanda series created by Ryan Coogler, but I just feel like the Wakanda series is gonna focus on everybody in Wakanda, and I want to focus on just the Dora Milaje. Like, we know Black Panther has war dogs in the world, like spies going out and doing diplomatic missions or helping people, kind of like we saw Nakia in Black Panther. I want to see that for the Dora Milaje, like a James Bond type of spy series where they're going out and just fucking shit up for bad guys. Like John Wick meets James Bond meets Gladiator meets Black Girl Magic meets superheroes. Like, oh, that Dora Milaje moment, like, oh, I just loved every single second of it. And then the action choreography and the stunts and everything like that. But considering that a lot of the people that are cast as Dora Milaje are actual stunt actors, it just made the cinematography and the camera work just that more beautiful. And I love seeing John Walker get his ass kicked. And not only just that, but Ayo was even able to hold her own against Bucky. Like, she took Bucky out and she did a moment almost kind of like Ty Lee in Avatar: The Last Airbender, where she did some like chi method and was able to take off his arm, which surprised Bucky. He was like, I didn't even know they were able to do that. Of course they were able to do that. They created the fucking arm. Of course they know how to take it out. I can hear my voice rising. I'm like, calm down. Calm down. And then when the other Dora Milaje stunted on John Walker and grabbed the shield and she was about to take it from him, and it wasn't until Ayo said leave it that she put it back down. I was just like, yes! And I just love the moment at the end of the fight where John Walker was just dumbstruck, where he was just like, they weren't even super soldiers, yet put some respect on the Dora Milaje's name. But speaking with that, jumping to the beginning, like when you got to see the performance of Bucky as he's going through to making sure his brainwashing is no longer affecting him anymore, and Ayo was saying the words that Baron Zemo said during Captain America Civil War that started him to become brainwashed again, freight car, homecoming, and all that other benign and all those other words. And you just saw Bucky seeing the memories, because remember in Captain America Civil War, he said he remembers every single death that was caused by his hands. And so he was seeing them as Ayo was saying the words, and just the acting from Sebastian Stan. Again, like Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, and Wyatt Russell, they were putting their A game. Not that they don't do it in other episodes, but for this episode, they were really giving their A game. I will say though, I don't know if it was just me, or maybe it was you guys, let me know in the comments, but, and this is why I kind of don't necessarily trust Marvel when it comes to LGBTQ representation, because we haven't really had it yet. Ayo in the comics is a lesbian. She's dating another Dora Milaje by the name of Anika. They had their own comic book series at one point called The World of Wakanda that was short-lived, unfortunately. But it is in comic book canon that she is a lesbian. But in the beginning of this episode, I was just like, I don't know, I just felt like, I hope they're not about to have Ayo and Bucky be romantic with each other. That will oh, I was ready to get pissed off. I don't know if that was just me, but I was just like, they better not start like kissing or anything like that. I was about to start, ooh, I was ready to start raging. But thankfully, that did not happen. Also, another thing that really stood out to me for this episode is I started to become a little bit more endeared to the character of Karli. Before this episode, I didn't give a about this character or the Flag Smashers. Granted, I still don't kind of care much about the Flag Smashers, but Karli, for being the leader of the Flag Smashers, I didn't care about her at all. And mostly because, and this is part of my problem with what I feel like this show is lacking in terms of the fact that it's only 6 episodes. I feel like they're rushing through a lot of plot lines because you have to get through the stuff with Sam. You have to get through stuff with Bucky. You have to get through briefly mentioning Isaiah Bradley because there's a thing on IMDb that supposedly he's not going to show up again for the rest of the show, which I would be severely disappointed in if we don't get a final conversation between him and Sam. Then you gotta go rush through the stuff with Sharon. You gotta rush through the stuff with Zemo. So it's like, and then of course the Flag Smashers, and then we still haven't seen the Power Broker. So it's like they have to pull on and connect all these threads in only 6 episodes, and I feel like something's gonna fall by the wayside because of it. And so for the most part, we're already on episode 4. We're already past the halfway point because there's only 6 episodes, and it wasn't until this episode that we really got to spend that much time with Karli. Karli. In the other 3 episodes, we've seen her for like brief glimpses. We're supposed to sympathize with this character that we've never really seen before, never really got to spend any time with. So yeah, I wasn't really feeling Karli until this episode, because in this episode we got to spend a hell of a lot more time with her. Like, even just think about how we feel about Thanos as a villain in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. Why do people like Thanos so much? Because for the most part, Avengers Infinity War was his movie. We spent the majority of the time in Avengers Infinity War with Thanos. And so I appreciated that we finally got to spend more time with Karli. I wish it came earlier, and I wish we have more episodes to flesh her character out. And it's the same thing I feel about John Walker and his descent into madness. While I loved what they ended up doing, I kind of feel like, not to bring this terrible movie in here, but the quote is now living in infamy: life is good, but it could be better. And that's kind of how I feel about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, it's great so far and I'm really enjoying it, but I feel like if they had more episodes, like, how much better would it have been to see John Walker's descent into, I don't know if he's going to be a full-on villain or he's just going to be an anti-hero or what, because in the comics, he's not really a villain. But also, I mean, you could take the same thing of what they did in WandaVision, where in the comics, Agatha Harkness is not a villain. In the comics, Agatha Harkness is a mentor to Wanda. She trains Wanda how to use her powers, and she's actually a good guy. But in WandaVision, she was basically a straight up villain. So I don't know if they're gonna do the same thing with John Walker. But either way, how much better would it have been for us to see his slow descent into villainy episode by episode by episode over the course of like 15 episodes, as opposed to this only being 6 episodes. And yeah, we've got to see some small glimpses of John Walker is not Steve Rogers, but it wasn't until this episode that you saw that, I mean, damn near, he's basically a straight up villain. And you didn't really get that prior to this episode. It was very quick, almost like, and I hate to bring this comparison because I still have not forgiven this show, and I don't think Falcon and Winter Soldier is nowhere near as bad as this last season, but it almost kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones a little bit, and how the quick turn of Daenerys Targaryen into the breaker of chains to the Mad Queen. And like I said, it's not a full one-for-one comparison, because I like Falcon and the Winter Soldier way better than that final season of Game of Thrones. Like, I'm still hurt by that final season of Game of Thrones. As awesome as seasons 1 through 5 were, like, I can't even go back and watch the show because of how damaged I am from those final 2 seasons. But I just wish this show had more time with episodes to breathe. Because that's one of the things that we loved about the first episode, because the first episode took its time. The first episode took a long and slow inhale, and it got to breathe in and out. We got to learn more about Falcon. We got to see the interaction between Rhodey and Sam. We got to see more about Bucky and his life. And it was just, like I said, it just got to breathe. And so how much better would it have been to see John Walker's descent into villainy, to see it breathe, as opposed to just evil. And like I said, I like what we got. Life is good, but I wish we could have got more, but it can be better. And yeah, it just definitely shows that Sam Wilson is the Captain America that we need. But like Batman, is he the Captain America we deserve? Because America don't love us. And then also, a little bit, I do kind of feel like the show is not really trying to pick a side. They're trying to tell both sides of the story instead of actually picking a narrative. They're trying to say like, oh, what the Flag Smashers are doing is great, but then at the same time, no, don't support the Flag Smashers, they're terrible. So I kind of feel like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too with the character of Sam. And it's like, again, just pick a side. But overall, that's really all I wanted to say for this review. I still really enjoyed this episode. I was still probably, because like I said, I'm conflicted about that one moment, but I would say I would still give it a blockbuster. If it turns out that he's actually dead, it's gonna lower my rating to a hit. But like I said, I have faith. I'm hoping he's not. I'm hoping it's a red herring. So with that, I'm gonna still give it a blockbuster. But like I said, join me tonight, 7 p.m. Ron and I will be talking about the full entire episode. You're not just gonna get my thoughts, you're gonna get his thoughts, and then join me in the chat so I can get your thoughts. But with that, I'm gonna ask you some of your thoughts in these comment section, because you know, algorithm, engagement, and all that stuff. And plus, I'm interested. You know, as you guys already know, I try to comment and respond to basically every comment that I get. So with that said, what did you think about this 4th episode of The Falcon and Winter Soldier, and where does it rank on your top 4 episodes of this show so far? Let me know down in the comment section below. Also, if you can, please hit that thumbs up button. It'll really help with the channel and the YouTube algorithm and getting my channel and my name out there. And also, if you can, hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video, and tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.